Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining this book chat. And let's just all start with a breath. I've had a really busy day, but it's been super fun. So I'm just waiting for a few people to chat or jump into this chat. I'm only 17 seconds into it, so let's just wait a couple of minutes. If you are watching this in replay, thank you so much for checking it out. Be sure to click on the link that's going to be left in the description of this video so that you can get a Kindle version of Gaia Codex for $2.99. That's a gift from the author. Speaking of which, this author, Sarah Drew, will be offering us, well, she has already offered us, but she is going to lead a half-hour Q&A for us so that we can ask her some very pointed questions about this book. And I've been looking at the reviews and some of the things that other women have said about this book and some of the questions that have come up. I don't know if you've checked them out already, but there are some really great comments and questions in the back of the book, my paperback version at least. So, but let's see what we come up with ourselves. I was kind of surprised to see the direction that my attention went, so to speak. I really saw this as a learning opportunity for us. Now, granted, I have not gotten any further than the first 5 chapters, as we agreed on with us. What we were going to read, just the first 5 chapters, just to kind of check it out and see where we were. Hey, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, honey. So, yeah, as I was saying, I've only read the first 5 chapters. I don't know where I was going with that now. I got so excited to see my sister on this live here. But it looks like this book has, I was going to tell you where my attention went with this. I went immediately into teacher mode. You know, I just really love teaching. And when I began reading these 5 chapters, I'm like, there are some really amazing points that this author has already made that really should be capturing our attention and causing us to think about how we relate, how those topics relate in our own interpersonal life. So I went there. I am going to be asking y'all some questions. And as you can see, the name of this live is not book club. It is book chat. And in order for us to chat, we both need to be talking. Okay, so when I ask a question, I would just love it if you would just pop into that comment section and just tell me what you think. Okay, this book is going to make us think. And I'm really excited that the author, Sarah Drew, is willing to spend some time with us for any questions that come up. So keep that in mind, you guys. As you continue this book, keep that in mind, that jot down some questions that you might want to ask her so that we have some things to talk about with her. So anywho, hey, Chrissy, so glad to see you, honey. Thank you so much for being here. So overall, just, an overall opinion of the first few chapters that you've read. Do you think that this is a book that you could get into? Is it something that has captured your attention and you think that you would enjoy it? Let's start with that question. I think you already know my answer. I'm super excited. This is, to be frank, this is a book that I've asked for. I wanted a novel that made me think. I wanted to be entertained, yet also given the opportunity for some self-reflection. And to learn something. Awesome. All right, you guys, and just before we start, can we, thank you, Melissa. Can we just do a little sound check? Is my music too loud? I don't want to get into anybody's bad graces. Let's take a listen. Can you hear that? I hope not, because you know me, I love my background music and my incense and my ambiance. And tonight we have another accessory, a fan. These lights around me are throwing off some heat, y'all. And I've got an air conditioner in my bedroom and a fan that's blowing this, down 100 feet hall, 100-foot hall, but it's not making it to me under all these hot lights. Okay, awesome. So let's dive into the Gaia Codex. So, let me bring up my notes because I did write some notes. Of course, I had to reboot my computer right before we started, and I was fearful that I wasn't going to be ready for you guys, but it looks like I might be. All right. So I had a hard time not reading past the first 5 chapters. I just want to I could have read this book in one day, really. But I'm like, no, I'm going to stay with my girls. So before this chat is over, I want us to also consider how we want to divide up the rest of the book, okay? I'm thinking we can finish this book in 4 weeks, all right? So we'll talk more about that. All right, let's go right to page 1. I wrote a lot of notes on this one, and it was just on one sentence that she wrote. We are everything and we are nothing. We are everything and we are nothing. What do you think she meant by that? When you read that, what did you think? Did you go, what the hell? That doesn't make sense. Or did you instantly know? Or can you guess what the author meant when she wrote that? We are everything and we are nothing. Take a sip of water while you guys are typing away at that. I found it very interesting that she opened the book kind of with that statement. We are one with all. That is true, because we are everything. So we are one with all. Does that conflict with the idea that we're also nothing? Just think about that. Source as in energy, because I would say that I agree with you on that, Melissa. Now, I watch a lot of science. I watch a lot of science shows. I read science journals. I love the idea of science proving or validating my faith in a higher source than myself, okay? Not either or. That is correct. That is correct. That is so true. Not either or. But what I was going to tell you is that it has been proven that this human form that we see, that we touch, that we feel inside and outside and have all of these cognitive things happening, this human form is nothing but a mass of rapidly moving atoms that between these atoms there is a ginormous amount of space. We are so magical that we should not even be existing, because we are just literally masses of atoms that are vibrating. We can collapse. If that vibration ever stops, our bodies would just collapse. When does that vibration stop? When we pass on and we revert to our purest form, that source energy that Melissa mentioned. Absolutely. We are everything because we are source, and we are nothing because we are an illusion. That is a whole, Zen, Hindu, Buddhist, frame of mind, that we We are everything, yet we are nothing. We are illusions. We are illusions. So when, we'll get to that again later, but I do want to share that um, there is a mantra that speaks to this, okay? And it's a mantra that has been recited for eons, okay? So it carries a lot of vibrational value. And it's Gate, Gate, PARAGATE, PARASAMGATE, BODHI, SVAHA. And basically what that means is that gone, gone, gone beyond the furthest shore, and then gone beyond even further than that. That we are this, and that we are even greater than that. And and that swaha part just loosely means amen. It's the period. It's the so be it type of a situation. And it is a mantra that helps people who follow those Buddhist traditions to get out of their ego selves and back to remembering that they are source energy and that everything about them is an illusion. And it's an illusion that we have all agreed upon over the eons and eons and eons of years of our evolution. We have agreed that a chair is a chair and that we sit on it. We have agreed that this is a glass and it's a vessel and that it holds water. Every time that we make an agreement, every time that we buy into something and give it life and give it energy and hype it up and stuff, it becomes real. It manifests in our life. We want to remember this because we could be manifesting some really horrible things that we are not even aware that we're doing so, just by making an agreement with an energetic anchor, so to speak, to it. Because it's not just the thought, it's the energy you put behind the thought that manifests everything. So just like we manifested these atoms, okay, that are spinning around and forming our bodies and helping our synapses connect to that source energy that is always talking to us. All of that is just a miracle to me. That's why I love life. Anyway, I rambled on and on and on and on and on, just so that you guys could understand, so that we can kind of talk more about how it is that we can be everything and nothing. Everything and nothing. This form is an illusion. We are nothing, but we are everything. Back in the day when I first started practicing or studying the goddess path, that's what they would call the mystery. The mystery with a capital M, the mystery that we are everything and we are nothing. So I was really, really excited to see that the author started her book with that, because it kind of sets the tone for kind of like her intention. I would say, let's see how the book unfolds. So what do you guys think about that? Do you have anything else to add to my big old rambling about everything and nothing? Let's see if I wrote anything else in my notes. I want to just see. I do. Oh, so that Gate, PARAGATE, PARASAMGATE, BODHI, SVAHA. You can tell I recite that one a lot. That mantra is actually called the Heart Sutra. The Heart Sutra. It is one of the most profound and powerful mantras that you can recite. And if you would like, I can put the mantra and the meaning in the description of the video when I post it. It really takes us out of our ego selves and puts us back into our spirit selves. Awesome. Thank you, honey. Let's see. So, let's see. We're still early into it. Okay, Chrissy, I sure will. But I would just really like to invite us to literally just take not a minute, 60 seconds, to just close our eyes and imagine being formless, being nothing, and melding into everything. So let's just take a minute and just close our eyes. And imagine that you're formless and that you're everything. I will say for me that when I imagine that I'm formless, it makes me appreciate being human even more. You know what I mean? I enjoy the taste of food and the sound of music and touching things and seeing things. I love this human experience. So I really appreciate those moments when I can connect with Source by imagining and feeling that I am melding with it. But I also really love opening my eyes from that meditation and enjoying being my human self. So now we're going to jump all the way to page 6. And there's this, one of the things I really appreciate about this book is that each chapter opens with something for me to think on, okay? And sometimes I feel like it doesn't really tie into the chapter, but it still gives me something to think on. This is one of those chapters, chapter 3. That whole part there about, in italics, there are priestesses of Astara, those ones. I'm on the right page, yes I am. When you read that particular paragraph about memory keepers, did anybody get a sense of understanding of being able to relate to that? Did it stir up any ancient memories for you? Do you feel like that you are a memory keeper here on planet Earth? What do you guys have to say about that? Yep. Me too, Melissa. Me too. I always had the impression that I was not only an observer of events, not only just in my life and my experiences, but everything else around me, and that I was literally recording it in myself, within my body, that I was recording it. It used to kind of make me feel weird, but now it makes me feel like I have a purpose, and there's nothing wrong with having a purpose. So I'm glad that, oh, I feel you there, Chrissy. I feel you, longing for your larger family, for your energetic soul star family, I get it, really. That's the kind of longing that brings up for me too. But it really triggered strong connection with that whole memory keepers. A long time ago, somebody told me, and as soon as they said it, it felt like a key unlocking in my head. They said, "You're a crystal wisdom keeper." And I was like, "Oh." I mean, it still gives me chills because that is exactly what I am. It's exactly what I am. I'm also a recorder. And it makes me wonder if all of these record keeper crystals in my possession are recording my experiences and what I have observed to be passed on to other people. Chrissy, you asked for a record keeper one time. I think I might send you one. Yeah, I'm going to think on that one. So yeah, exactly that. Thank you. All right, so let's see. Oh, tell me this. Have you ever gone to a museum or to a library and felt a connection to an artifact that you saw? Did you ever think to yourself, oh, I used to use one of those? Or, oh my God, that looks familiar to me. That happens to me quite often. I'm sure that I've lived in Greece, in Egypt, like in that whole area, Mesopotamia, all of that. And I'm sure that I have also lived in South America because I have vivid pictures of that. So it ain't just me. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that I'm not hearing, oh, it's a little wacky. But no, I do. I went to the King Tut exhibit when it was in Portland one time. And I was like, oh, all of this stuff is so familiar to me. I didn't have to ask, oh, what do you use that for? Oh, what do you do that? No, I already knew. It was interesting. I have some other stories, but I'll share more. Yeah, maybe not, Chrissy, maybe not. But you know what? When you do get those opportunities and those experiences, I really feel like they deepen our connection to our inner wisdom, that ancient wisdom that's in our DNA, so in our bones. Okay, so each time you do, you're just unlocking it even more. Wow, Melissa, I just got chills on that. That is wild, you guys. If you have not read her comment, I'll just read it out loud. Happens all the time. And once while visiting Tombstone in Arizona, I saw an old photo on the wall and knew it was me. It was a young man. Our eyes were the same. How did that make you feel? Did you make you kind of well up? Did you get any other kind of memories from it? Did anything connect, anything else other than recognition happen there? I'm just curious. Yeah, mm-hmm. Oh, I bet you did, Melissa. I bet that's what I would have done. Yeah. Oh, honey. That's a beautiful story, though. Beautiful story. All right, let's just go right to page 7. She wrote, let it run and flow inside you, and perhaps what you already know, and perhaps you'll remember what you already know, what you have always known. That is on page 7 when she was talking about her memories or her memory of going to these museums and stuff. And not understanding, well, why am I reading this stuff when I don't understand it? Why am I looking at all these artifacts and ancient histories when I don't understand any of it? And her mom is telling her, do it anyway and just let it flow through you. And perhaps you'll remember what you already know and what you have always known. That sentence really resonated with me because I want you to think about the word remember. Remember, okay? Memories. When we remember things, we are remembering ourselves. We're coming together. It's another piece of the puzzle that we are now attaching to who we are. We are remembering ourselves, okay? And that is one of the reasons why, Christine, I would like to say this directly to you, that anytime that you can experience moments of the past, anytime that you can, soak it up, whether it's online, in the library, on TV, anytime that you can kind of tap into a historical experience, you know, soak it up, and let it kind of like just untap some of those memories. Just let them come to the surface. And I say that to everybody, but you, especially Chrissy, are coming to mind for that. So what did you guys think about her experience, her learning experience? She never went to school, from what I'm reading in the book. She never sat in a classroom. Her mom taught her everything. So how did that go for you guys? Did that seem weird to you, or did it make sense? It kind of made sense to me. I kind of wish I had more of that. Now, I will say my mother was amazing with the history. And thank God she allowed us to live in England for a time, because I saw a ton of history. And there was stories, lots of stories. Jealous, right? I was like, I want that life. Thank you very much. Do you ever find yourself knowing something, but you don't know how you know it? Like, you'll be in a conversation and somebody will say something, and all of a sudden your mouth will open and you'll be like, blah, 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 blah. And then you'll close your mouth and go, what the hell? Where did that come from? And people are looking at you like, how do you know that? And you're like, I don't know. That happens to me a lot. Unschooled their kids, right on. Life experiences versus indoctrination. Amen. For real. That is more valuable than dates and all this other nonsense. In this bizarre way they're teaching children math. What is that all about? Anyway, but yes, this is way better way of learning things. So yeah, sometimes we just know. We don't know why we know. And I do think that a lot of it is just coming from remembering, coming to ourselves. And every opportunity that we can to make that happen is going to be good for us. Working with record keepers, channeling crystals, trigonics, any way that you can open yourself up to the cosmic source of information that is floating all around us, okay, that you can tap into anytime. So let's go to page 10. Did I skip anything? No. Page 10. The goddess mother speaks to us in many ways if you know how to listen. How many ways does goddess speak to you? Just think about it. How many ways does goddess converse with you, tell you things? So many ways for me. And it's usually through, oh, hi, Karen. Good to see you, honey. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, it is a learning. It is a learning. It's like learning a whole language, because the way she talks to you is different than the way she talks to me. And it could be similar. Like we can say, oh, yes, one of the ways that she talks to me is through divination. Well, your divination is going to work different than my divination, even though we're using the same tarot cards or whatever. We all have our own different way of understanding how she speaks to us. One of my favorite ways that she speaks to me is through the voices of others. Through the voices of others, she speaks to me. She's alive in everybody. And so when somebody's telling me something and it's touching something in me, I know that's her. How I respond to that, what I do with that information, that's on me. All right? And that's free will stuff, okay? But you can bet I'm paying attention. You can bet I'm listening, because that's one of the ways that she talks to me. Numbers, yes, ma'am. Automatic writing. It's something that I have never really explored, but I think maybe it's time I learn from somebody. Maybe she'd be willing to teach us a class, do a little live demo or something. Yeah, I've never counted, right? because she's always talking to us. Our spirit guides, our ancestors, goddess, whatever name we want to give it, it's all the same, okay? Just to be clear, it's all the same. And yeah, she's always talking to us. Synchronicity, hello, a big one. That's a big one for sure, for sure. So, thank you for sharing those, you guys. If there is nothing else, we're going to move on to page 11. Mother does not speak of our prayers to the goddess with most of the people we meet. Page 11. Mother does not speak of our prayers to the goddess with most of the people we meet. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that her mother is somewhat, I hesitate to use the word secretive, but let's say hesitant to share her prayers? Why do you think that is? Not safe. Not safe. That's a big one. Not safe. And not safe on so many levels, not just physical, because of what their circumstances were. So true. That's the other part. Okay. So safety, okay, which covers a wide variety of situations, but that you can't it's pointless to tell some people because they're just really not going to get it, okay? But also, your prayers are very much diluted when you speak of them. The power dissipates around it. One of the reasons we cast a circle when we're doing spell work or anything like that is to contain the energy, okay? The same goes for a prayer. The reason why we're not throwing it out on the wind via our voice, okay, to all and sundry people is because it will just dissipate and be diluted. Our power, our energy around it will be diluted. So that is why the safety part, okay, but it's safety around not diluting her power and her energy around her prayers, and the safety of not telling people who don't understand what she's talking about, and the safety of telling people who could take that information and turn it against her. You know, it's like locking your door and then giving the key to the robber. You just contain it. You just contain your prayers. And so often we tell people, oh, my power animal is this. Oh, this is how I pray. This is, my spiritual practice. This is what I use and all that kind of stuff. And I share a lot of that, okay, in a teaching thing. But when it comes down to my personal practice, I don't share that. I don't share my personal mantras. I don't talk about my stuff, I'm just saying it's safety for sure, for sure. Their experience is beyond social conditioning. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Keep your prayers to yourself. That's personal. That's intimacy between you and divine source. Intimate. You don't go tell your friends about the things you whisper to your lover. Don't go telling your friends the things you whisper to gods. That's intimate. All right. Now, I was going to talk about something on page 13, but I don't want it to seem like I'm male bashing, okay? Now, if we tackle this one sentence with that frame of mind, that I'm not male bashing, however, I'm about to make a generalization that I think some of you might be able to relate to. And it's not, it's just an awareness thing, okay? So on page 13, the mother is very upset and worried and scared about the dad's safety, okay? So she's talking about, you know, the situation is beyond urgent. Darling, I have a bad feeling about you dealing with these people. They would eat your flesh if they thought it would give them what they want and what you have. The sentence that kind of alerted me that her partner may not fully appreciate her feminine wisdom is he says, surely you joke. Surely you joke. To me, it was quite dismissive, okay? And I think that this is really indicative of how society views women's intuition. The woman knew what the hell she was talking about, all right? She couldn't probably safely come right out and say to her husband, for God's sakes, they're going to kill you, even though she basically did. They would eat your flesh if they thought it would give them what they want and what you have, okay? She knew what was coming down, all right? And she was really worried. And he poo-pooed it. And he poo-pooed it in a very dismissive way. Surely you're joking. Surely you're joking. This is how women are silenced. This is why we don't share what we know with others, because of this kind of dismissive kind of attitude. And I want you guys to really pay attention to that. Because even if you do not feel safe sharing your inner wisdom with somebody, if you know what's happening, tell the truth to yourself. At least do that. At least don't poo-poo on yourself. Don't say, oh, you're making it up, girl, you're just being dramatic and blah, blah, blah. No. If your inner wisdom is trying to tell you something and you don't feel safe sharing it with anybody else who's involved in the story, at least admit the truth of it to yourself. Every time that you dismiss your intuition and your inner wisdom, you're basically just tossing this precious gift back to the universe and saying, you know, I don't really want that, you know? Well, really you do. Because it's a survival thing. It's a survival thing, okay? And you'll see where it comes into play as you continue to grow and move through this world. But I'm telling you, there's a reason why I'm pushing so much divination stuff on you guys. It's something that I really want you to be strong in, because it's going to help you. Okay, it's going to help you. So don't let anybody make you feel less than because you have a strong intuition and feminine wisdom. That's that goddess of you in you speaking, coming forth. So that's all I have to say about that. And I'm sorry, I hope that I didn't generalize too much, because really a woman could have said the same thing. Surely you're joking. You know, it's just like, no, I'm very concerned. That whole paragraph, she's listing all of her concerns. It wasn't a joke, as we find out later, am I right? So we are up to chapter 5. Do you guys think that it's arrogant to believe that a woman's body is sacred? I'm not saying more sacred than a man's, but differently sacred. Differently sacred. Do you guys think it's arrogant for us to believe that? I bring it up because chapter 5 starts out, a woman's womb is sacred. It is the center and source of creation. Now, a little bit about me, a little TMI here, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I had a hysterectomy when I was 17 years old because I had debilitating endometriosis, debilitating. Could not hardly walk some days, okay? So I had a complete hysterectomy done. And it really messed up my whole idea about, my femininity, how much of goddess can I be without this womb, and all of that. I'm not bleeding. I'm not in cycle with the moon. All that is rubbish. All right. I was out of my head, and I really needed a teacher at that time, for real. Because what I got from what the author was saying is that a woman's center of creation, which is the second and third chakra, her center of creation is sacred. That is something that men do not have. They do not have the moon energy flowing through them. They do not have this center of creation, this womb that gives birth, whether it's to a baby, to a painting, to a new book, to an idea, to a concept, to a community. Whatever you're giving birth to, it's coming from that very, very sacred center of creation that is in your belly. What are your thoughts on that? Oh, Chrissy, thank you, sweetie. I hope so. It's ironic that you would even say that, because when I was growing up after my hysterectomy, I was like, it's a good thing I don't have children, because then it frees me up to be a mother to everybody. And that's kind of how I feel. I try not to smother those. So if I ever go there, let me know. But I do like to mother people. I'm a Virgo. We were made for that. Yes. Oopsie. I lost my notes. Hi, Lily. No, of course not. Oh, absolutely. All right, I'm going back to my notes so I don't lose track. So now we are on page 16, 17. She's talking about a woman's sexual energy, her Shakti energy. Now, if you were in on the Be Strong retreat, we talked about that Shakti energy. But in the retreat, I called it Shakti warrior energy, because it was all about putting forth the feminine, the divine feminine into the world and being a warrior for yourself. There's a concept around Buddhism called being the spiritual warrior. And it's not about battles and stuff like that. It's about the inner conflicts that we're having and how we need to rise up as a warrior for ourselves and be the best that we can be for ourselves. Okay, that's what the Shakti sexual energy is. It's the same being energy, y'all. It's the same energy. It's just such a potent energy that it carries forth a vibration that can topple kingdoms. All right? It's how you use it. Shakti energy in a sexual form, in a warrior form, in a creative mother form. It's all the same. It comes from the divine feminine, and it lives within your body. It is not something that is separate from you. It is something that you can breathe life into, okay? Did I ever show you guys that? I'm going to have to show you how to breathe life into your Shakti. Anyway, so, but in this story, she's talking about that sexual energy as being precious, and it's true. And it's one of the reasons why it disturbs me to no end when, and I don't mean this from a judgmental, I mean it from an area of concern, okay? It concerns me when women are so freely giving their sex to people. They just give it. They're giving away that precious Shakti energy that uh, is her goddess self. She's giving away her goddess self, okay? So when you do that, you're also courting with the people that you're having sex with, all right? So there's all kinds of attachments and things like that. But Shakti energy is precious. It is precious and is not to be taken lightly or given lightly. Enough. I will get off that little soapbox, but I will ask you to just really consider that everything that you do with your body, do it as a sacred act because you are goddess. You. You're not the vessel of her. You are goddess, all right? So that Shakti energy is precious. Also on that page, she said, know as well that there are those not bound by time. Raise your hand if you're one of those people. There are those not bound by time. Not bound by time. Time is irrelevant, all right? I had some very interesting experiences in my youth, and I continue to have them, and they're normal now to me. And one of them is the ability to bend time. Now, Melissa, you used to live in Sherwood. You know how far away Winco Foods was, the one that was across from that Costco down there in the Tigard area. I made it from Sherwood to Winco, shopped for a month's worth of groceries, and made it back home in an hour. That's a time bender. That I can, once I set a goal and I say I have to get that goal met in this certain amount of time, time flows for me. That's why I don't wear a watch anymore. I stopped wearing a watch 20 years ago because it was pointless. It was pointless. Time is irrelevant to me. And I don't know why, but I like it. How about you guys? Yeah. The more you step into your spirit self and into nature, which is your spirit self, okay? We call, plants and animals nature, but it's your spirit that is nature, all right? And the closer you get to that and the more you step into that, the more you are outside of this other mundane physical realm that we're trying to fit into, but we cannot because we are not resonating with it. We are different than that, okay? The fact that we're even having this conversation shows that we are different than that, and that's why we feel awkward sometimes, as we try to navigate our life. But the more we get closer to our spirit self and our spirit nature, the more time is irrelevant. And so is direction. And so is this. And so are all of the things that we turn to guide us and to control us and to form us and to form our life. Fades away. We become more fluid, more creative, and more highly adept at manifesting what we want. We're magical beings. We are magical, magical beings. Right, moving on. That really kind of concludes it. That concludes everything that I had to say in my teacher frame of mind about this book. And I would like to just pause for a moment and give you guys a chance to share anything that you want to share about the book, anything that I've said. Yeah. Let me know. And then we've got a couple of things to talk about, and then we're going to wrap it up. Ooh, we're going to be on time, too. That's me. Ooh, let me get my fan out. I'm beginning to glisten. Yes, Melissa. Yes, I agree. I agree. This could, yes. I don't know what I have nothing else to add to that, but I would agree. I'm just gonna unlock those. Yeah. And it makes me want to meet this Sarah Drew person really, really bad. You know, it'd be nice to run up on her and have a little tea party or something and really see how did this book come to you? I mean, some people ask me the same question. Well, how did that book come to you? And it just does. But my gosh, girl, if this book unlocks codes, oh yeah, that would be really cool. I want to talk more about that. I've heard of that book, but I'm sure I have not read that. But now I'm curious. Maybe we should read it next. When I ask for suggestions in a couple of weeks about upcoming books that we might want to explore, help me to remember this lineage of codes of light, and I'll add it to the list. And like before, we can all vote on it, okay? That's how I do it, Karen. That's how I do it. Let's have a tea party. So, you guys, let us talk about how we want to break this book up. Do we want to take longer than a month to work through this book, longer than 4 weeks? I kind of looked at the division, you know, just kind of like breaking the rest of the book up in 3 parts. And I could do it, all right? It just means that I'll have to be more selective about the things that I want to talk about. And that might be hard for me. But I can do it. I can take on a challenge like that. But I also want to know what you guys think. Do you want? It's going to be hard to drag this out for more than a month. But tell me, what do you prefer? What do you prefer? I'll go with the crowd. Because I already have it all sectioned off in 3 sections, if you guys are ready for that. What do you say? A month sounds good? All right. How many chapters would that? Okay. Thanks for the question, Chrissy. So that would take us, the first section would take us from chapter 6 to chapter 28. So it'd be 22 chapters. The next chapter, or the next group of pages, would take us up to 48. So that would be 20 chapters. And then we'll be done. 48 to the end. Now, I don't know if you guys have noticed, if you do have the paperback book, but a lot of the pages in the back are comments and reviews and stuff like that. Okay, so I took all of that in consideration when I divided up the pages, the chapters. So it'd be 6 to chapter 28, and then we start again at 48. What do you think? Awesome. Ready. What do you think, Chrissy? Is that too many chapters to explore? All right, well, let's do it then. So when we meet again next Monday evening at 6:30 p.m., we will have gone up to, but not including, 28. All right, so 6 through 27. I'll put it in the next book club event. Speaking of which, I would like to let you guys know that I am moving the book chat from Y.E.S group page to the Your Essential Spirit Quest page. And I'll put a link of it in the description of this video so you can just click right onto it and get right there. You'll see the book chat, upcoming events there. And yeah, so we'll still always do the live on YouTube though, okay? Because it seems to be the most dependable, more dependable than Facebook. So, but I want to start building more events on the Your Essential Spirit Quest page and move everything off of the group page. So if you don't see any upcoming events on the Y.E.S Quest page, just go to the other one and that's where you'll find it all. But we will be here Monday at 6:30 Pacific Daylight Time to talk about chapters 6 through 27. All right? So, is there anything else that we need to talk about before we say goodnight? Awesome, Karen. I'm glad it does. I'm glad it works out. And if you guys know of anybody who you want to share this book with, for gosh sake, send them that Kindle link for $2.99. They can get that Kindle version and they can get caught up with us. And by the time we meet here on Monday, they'll be just as hooked as we are. So if you have any friends that you're like, oh, I think she would really like this book, share it. Get them on board. The more the merrier, because we learn from each other. That whole thing about, you know, messages coming from the people that I speak to, it's true. I get a lot of stuff like that. All right, you guys. Well, I sure appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you again next Monday. And start thinking about other books you want to explore too, so we can get a list started. All right, you guys. Good night. Sleep well. See you soon.